Chapter 11 Mu Zixuan is pregnant. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After nearly 2 months of hard work, Lu Chen's motorcade finally arrived in Beijun. Along the way, when Lu Chen and the others passed through various counties, the officials of each county received them well. When Lu Chen was on the road, he also communicated with his wife and concubines, but because he was on the road, he basically didn't communicate seriously. Lu Chen didn't practice much in the qi refining technique and the rejuvenation spell. After seeing the demarcation line in Beijun, Lu Chen's 2 months of fatigue disappeared. There are no cement roads in this world, and people would be killed while riding in a carriage. Now that he has arrived in North County, his plan to have a baby can finally be implemented. Thinking of this, Lu Chen asked people to speed up and go to his new mansion. Soon, Lu Chen and his team arrived at Yanqing in Beijun. There are 13 cities in Beijun, the most prosperous of which is Yanqing, which will also serve as Lu Chen's royal city in the future. When Lu Chen's motorcade appeared in Yanqing, all Yanqing officials came out to greet them, and the people of Yanqing also stood on both sides of the road. At this time, many people in the crowd were whispering about King Bei. We in the north finally have a vassal king. What's the use? King Bei is only 16 years old, still a child. I heard that King Bei is an uneducated person. He was driven to Bei County for this reason. I don't know if King Bei will raise taxes as soon as he comes. If he continues to raise taxes, we won't be able to survive. It would be nice if King Bei had been having fun in his mansion and left us alone. I heard that in some places, after a vassal king was established, the lives of the people became more difficult. When Lu Chen entered the city, he looked at the people on both sides of the road. The clothes of the people in the north are obviously tattered than those in other counties. Compared with the people in other counties, they are almost like beggars. This is too poor. Yanqing is also the richest city in Beijun. Even the people in Yanqing are dressed in such rags, as you can imagine in other counties. His father was really cruel to let him come to a place like this. I don't know if there are many women in Beijun who can reach 90 points, which will affect my ability to take concubines. Lu Chen kept searching through the system for women who could reach 90 points. But after scanning for a long time, he didn't see any of them. Among the common people on both sides of the road, the one with the highest female score would not exceed 80. Lu Chen felt a little disappointed. When the motorcade arrived at the city gate, the officials from Bei County all raised their hands and said, "See you, Your Majesty." Lu Chen got off the carriage at this time. After seeing Lu Chen come out, the people immediately became excited. King Bei is so handsome. They say King Bei is only 16 years old, but he already looks as mature as a 20-year-old adult. Based on his appearance, King Bei doesn't seem to be the kind of person who is ignorant and unskilled. At this time, a middle-aged man wearing a blue shirt and long robe came to Lu Chen and said, "Your Majesty, Leroy, see you." Hearing this, Lu Chen looked at Leroy. Name, Leroy. Identity, temporary sheriff of North County. Strength, level 5. Loyalty, 30. In his opinion, you are an ignorant and useless prince. Seeing that Leroy's loyalty was so low, Lu Chen immediately looked at the loyalty of the North County officials. It turned out that almost all officials had the same loyalty as Leroy. This is not surprising. These people may have already inquired about their situation in the capital. Lu Chen directly asked, "Prefectly, do you know how the construction of my prince's mansion is going?" Leroy replied, "Your Majesty, don't worry, your mansion has been built and you can move in now." Lu Chen said with a smile, "Then lead the way." "Yes, Your Majesty." Then Leroy and the others took the convoy to the North Prince's mansion. After entering the North Prince's mansion, Leroy asked directly, "My lord, I don't know when you will have time so that I can report to you the situation in Beijun." Although Leroy looked down on Lu Chen, a good-for-nothing prince, Lu Chen was the king of the north after all, and was now the most powerful person in the North County. The appointment and dismissal of officials in Beijun were all decided by King Bei. In this era, the vassal king had great power in the enfeft areas, not only administrative power and appointment and dismissal of officials, but also coinage and military power. Leroy is just a temporary county guard appointed by the imperial court. After King Bei comes, he may be transferred, so Leroy plans to brush his face in front of King Bei. look for presents, and let King Bei know that he is a capable official." Hearing Li Rui's words, Lu Chen smiled and patted Li Rui on the shoulder, and then said, "Leave professional matters to professional people. Prefect Li, before I came here, you managed Beijun in an orderly manner. From now on, you can continue to govern Beijun on my behalf." As soon as these words came out, Li Rui half knelt down excitedly and said, "Thank you for your recognition, Your Majesty. I will definitely assist Your Majesty with all my strength, and I will do my best until I die." Hearing Li Rui's words, Lu Chen was speechless. He just wanted to find someone to work for. At this time, Lu Chen saw that Li Rui's loyalty had instantly increased to 50, and he said, "Okay, Governor Li, go and do your work. If there is nothing important in the future, don't come to me. Now I am going to get familiar with my palace." Having said this, Lu Chen walked towards his palace. Seeing Lu Chen's back, Li Rui felt a little complicated. It was obvious that King Bei planned to act as a hands-off treasurer and hand over all affairs of Beijun to him as the governor. This is of course a good thing for him, after all, who doesn't like power, but Li Rui also knew that taking over the power granted by King Bei would likely cause dissatisfaction from the court. There was a precedent for this in the Great Xia Dynasty. There was once a feudal prince who took over all the power of the vassal king. He was judged by the court as stealing the power of the vassal king and imprisoning the vassal king. In the end, the long history of that long history was to confiscate his family and exterminate his clan. After Lu Chen entered the palace, he determined the courtyard where he wanted to live, then he took out the dragon and phoenix tree seeds from the system space. He bit his finger and dropped a drop of blood on the dragon and phoenix tree seeds. Then he buried the seeds in the soil and ordered his servants to take good care of them. After the dragon and phoenix tree grows up, the tea brewed from the leaves of the dragon and phoenix tree can make women rely more on him. This thing is very useful to Lu Chen. At this time, Mu Zixuan, who was wearing a long red gauze dress, passed by the yard. She saw that Lu Chen bit his finger and kept squeezing blood into the soil, so she hurriedly entered the yard. "My lord, what's wrong with you?" Mu Zixuan thought Lu Chen was bitten by a poisonous snake and was squeezing out the poison. Lu Chen glanced at the charming Mu Zixuan and said with a smile, "I'm fine, I'm cultivating the dragon and phoenix tree with blood." Mu Zixuan asked doubtfully, "Dragon and phoenix tree, what is that?" Lu Chen hugged Mu Zixuan's waist and replied, "You will know from now on." Having said this, Lu Chen's hands began to wander around Mu Zixuan's waist. "My dear concubine, how about we go try out the bed in the palace now?" Hearing this, a blush instantly appeared on Mu Zixuan's face, then Lu Chen directly picked up Mu Zixuan and walked towards the room. "You and your wife and concubine develop a relationship once, and the qi refining technique experience value will be increased by 10. Congratulations on unlocking the qi chain technique and successfully introducing qi into the body. Congratulations on successfully impregnating Mu Zixuan and obtaining the soap-making method. Rewards for pregnancy are encouraging rewards, so the rewards are less. If you successfully give birth to a child, you will get richer rewards." Chapter 12 You Are All Dead. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing the system announcement, Lu Chen instantly felt that his body became extremely refreshing, as if his skin could breathe. Lu Chen was extremely pleasantly surprised. He finally introduced the qi into his body. After introducing the qi into his body, he could be regarded as embarking on the path of cultivating immortality, right? Of course, another thing that surprised Lu Chen was that Mu Zixuan was finally pregnant with a child. They had been traveling for the past 2 months. Although they communicated and cultivated feelings on the way, there was no movement in the stomachs of Mu Zixuan and the other 3. Unexpectedly, just after she settled down, Mu Zixuan became pregnant. If you want to reproduce, you still need a stable environment. Lu Chen hugged Mu Zixuan and gently stroked Mu Zixuan's white and red skin while saying, "My beloved, I have a way to make money here. Are you interested?" Lu Chen is now the vassal king of Beijun. The royal family's source of income is basically taxes from the people. However, these taxes also need to be paid to lower-level officials, so there may not be much left for the royal family. If the prince wants to live a good life, he must have his own industry, and it just so happens that he obtained the method of making soap. Of course, the real money comes from things like salt and iron, but Lu Chen has no plans to touch these two things yet. This kind of interest involves too many things. If he takes action as soon as he comes to Beijun, I am afraid there will be more people to assassinate him." After hearing Lu Chen's words, Mu Zixuan's eyes lit up, and she immediately asked, "My lord, what method are you talking about?" Mu Zixuan also wanted to prove that her worth was not just in bed. When she was in the capital, her father raised her as a princess, so she had strong abilities in all aspects. Lu Chen replied, "I have something that can clean clothes. I believe this kind of thing can be favored by the people." Mu Zixuan asked doubtfully, "Is the prince talking about bath beans?" There is a kind of tree in this world. The fruit on the tree has the function of cleaning clothes. People call it bath beans. If it is bath beans, they are available everywhere, so it is difficult to create an industry. Lu Chen smiled and said, "Of course not. What I'm talking about has a stronger cleaning power than bath beans. You'll understand after I have someone make it in a few days." Mu Zixuan said, "Yes, I understand." At this time, the maid's voice came from outside the door, "Your Majesty, Mrs. Chu is looking for you." Hearing this, Mu Zixuan immediately said to Lu Chen, "My lord, you'd better go and have a look quickly. Aunt Chu should have something important to do with you." They had just arrived in Beijun, and there must be many things going on. Mu Zixuan did not dare to pester Lu Chen. If people knew that she had been pestering Lu Chen as soon as she came to Beijun, I don't know how many people would scold her. "My beloved, you have a good rest, I'll go out and check the situation." Lu Chen reluctantly got up from the bed, got dressed, and left the room. When Lu Chen walked to the martial arts training ground of the palace, he saw Li Feng and Chu Yuqin talking about something. After seeing Lu Chen coming over, Li Feng quickly said, "I've met the prince." Lu Chen looked at Chu Yuqin and said, "Aunt Chu, do you have anything to do with me?" Chu Yuqin said, "I'm not looking for you, General Li is looking for you." Lu Chen's eyes fell on Li Feng again. Li Feng quickly took out a letter from his arms and said to Lu Chen, "Your Majesty, this is what Duke Mu gave to his subordinates when we set out. He asked his subordinates to give this letter to you after they arrive in Beijun." Lu Chen immediately took the letter from Li Feng, opened it and read it carefully. At this time, Li Feng and the more than 100 soldiers behind him were staring at the letter in Lu Chen's hand. Li Feng, in particular, seemed very nervous. He didn't know what the letter said, and he was now afraid that King Bei would silence them. After all, they were about to return to the capital, and King Bei probably couldn't trust them. After Lu Chen read the letter, he glanced at Li Feng and others. Li Feng's loyalty has now increased to 87, and he is completely available. The loyalty of the soldiers in the escort is also not low, and basically none is lower than 60, Lu Chen said directly. "Duke Mu told me in this letter that you are all dead." As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar. Li Feng and others couldn't help but think, King Bei really didn't intend to silence him, right? No, it should be said that Duke Mu had no intention of letting them go back alive. After all, this letter was sent to King Bei by Duke Mu. Lu Chen saw that Li Feng and the others seemed very nervous, so he continued, "Dong Mu asked me to tell you that he has sent people to send your family members to Yancheng, and you have been removed from the Huban army. From now on, you will follow this king." This, Li Feng realized instantly that they had misunderstood what Lu Chen meant. They are already dead. It is said that they have been removed from the Daxia Tiger army. It seems that Duke Mu didn't want them to return to the capital from the beginning, and wanted them to follow the king of the north. Lu Chen showed a sly smile at this time. "Of course, if you don't want to follow me, I won't force you." Hearing this, Li Feng and the more than 100 soldiers knelt down without hesitation. "We will follow the prince to the death." What a joke! If they dare to say no now, they will never leave Yancheng. They are not fools, and there is nothing wrong with following King Bei. After learning that King Bei had weapons capable of killing 9th grade masters, they thought that King Bei had been hiding his clumsiness. When the northern king returns to the capital again and rules the world, they all have the merit of following the dragon. There is no need to think too much about how to choose. Lu Chen said, "Okay, you all get up." "Thank you, Your Majesty." Lu Chen took out a token from his arms, threw it to Li Feng and said, "General Li, take my token and take over the army in Beijun." I'll leave the training of the army to you. Li Feng immediately clasped his fists and said, my subordinates must live up to the prince's expectations and reorganize the North County army as soon as possible and train them into a fighting force. Lu Chen said, there is no need to be too anxious. If the action is too big, the impact will be bad. Li Feng reacted instantly and said immediately, I understand, I must be careful. Li Feng thought that King Bei must continue to hide his clumsiness to avoid being discovered by others. Okay, you guys go do your own thing. Having said this, Lu Chen turned around and prepared to leave. At this time, Yuqin looked at Lu Chen's back and felt vaguely that something was wrong. She didn't know why, but she always felt like there was a ball of gas on Lu Chen's body. In order to verify her conjecture, Yuqin kicked her toes hard and was behind Lu Chen in an instant. After Lu Chen felt the spiritual energy fluctuation behind him, he suddenly turned around and saw Yuqin, who met Yuqin's eyes. The distance between Yuqin and him was less than 30 centimeters, and a faint fragrance floated into Lu Chen's nostrils, making Lu Chen's body a little restless. "Aunt Chu, what are you?" Yuqin smiled and then said, "Chener, I didn't expect you to become a martial artist behind your aunt's back. Why have I never seen you practice martial arts in the past? What kind of martial arts do you practice?" Forehead. Lu Chen saw that he was exposed, so he smiled and said, "Aunt Chu, this is a man's little secret." Yuqin said coquettishly, "Where did you get so many secrets?" Lu Chen chuckled, "It's normal for a deep man to have many secrets in his heart." Yuqin stared at Lu Chen speechlessly, and then said, "If you don't say so, forget it. I'll go set up defenses." As soon as the words fell, Yuqin walked towards the door of the palace. Looking at Yuqin's graceful and dignified figure, Lu Chen felt the fire in his heart burning brighter and stronger. He quickly turned around and ran to find his 2 concubines to practice. "Please give me recommendation votes." Recommendation votes are very important for new books. Chapter 13, Recovering the Military Power of Beijun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yanqing, Sheriff's Mansion. After seeing Li Rui's return, officials from Beijun swarmed over. One of the officials asked, "Prefect Li, has the prince said what he will do next?" Now the officials in Beijun are very concerned about what kind of big moves the king of Bei will make after coming to Beiland, and whether it will affect their jobs and interests. Li Rui showed a smile, raised his hand to stroke his beard, and then replied calmly, "The prince told me not to go to him if there is nothing important. Everything in Beijun will continue as usual." Upon hearing this, the officials in Bei County instantly became extremely excited. If so, neither the power in their hands nor their interests will be compromised. Although they didn't say anything at this time, their thoughts were basically, fortunately, the imperial court sent a useless prince to Beijun. However, at this moment, a soldier from the sheriff's mansion ran in a panic. He came to Li Rui and whispered something. After listening to the soldier's words, Li Rui frowned and his face instantly darkened. Seeing Li Rui's face looking so ugly, an official asked quickly, "Sir, what happened?" As soon as the official finished speaking, Li Feng walked into the county governor's house. Seeing Li Rui and all the officials there, Li Feng smiled and said, "Master Li, your mansion is really busy today." Li Rui came back to his senses, walked up quickly and said, "Where is it? I wonder what General Li has to convey when he comes to my residence." Li Feng directly took out the token of King Bei, and then said, "Your Majesty has an order. From today on, I will take over all military affairs of Bei County." Upon hearing this, the officials in the courtyard panicked instantly. The main reason why they dared to be unscrupulous and did not take the King of North to heart at all was because the army of Beijun was in the hands of the prefect. As soon as the northern king arrived in Beijun, he was about to take over the military affairs of Beijun. What was he going to do? The army is relatively sensitive, and the feudal king will inevitably do something when he controls the army. Is it possible that King Bei is planning to attack them? Li Rui said at this time, "General Li, the prince has just arrived in Beijun. He is not familiar with Beijun yet. I wonder why he asked you to take over the military affairs." Li Rui didn't think that King Bei was going to take action against the forces in Beijun, at least not in the short term. After all, he had just arrived in Beijun and had not yet established a foothold in Beijun. Besides, if the northern king wants to maintain his rule in Beijun, he still needs officials like them and the major forces in the northern county. No matter how ignorant the northern king is, he should not do such a self-destructive thing. Li Feng saw the worries in the hearts of Li Rui and others, so he said directly, Master Li, I believe you have heard the news that the prince was assassinated by Xu Yu at Tower on the road to the feudal lord, right? Li Rui said, this is natural. Li Feng continued, in this case, you should understand why the prince wants to control the military. The prince does not want his personal safety to be in the hands of others. Hearing what Li Feng said, Li Rui and others reacted instantly, yes, King Bei was assassinated on the way here. He was relatively young and must have been frightened. Perhaps it was because he was afraid of death and feared that Beijun's army would harm him, so he took control of the military. Li Feng continued, Master Li, don't you want to hand over military power? The prince has entrusted all affairs of Beijun to you. If the military power still belongs to you, then who are you or the prince? Hearing Li Feng's words, Li Rui suddenly broke into a cold sweat on his forehead. Indeed, if all the power in Beijun is in his hands and no one can restrict him, it won't be long before the court will send people to trouble him. Li Rui thought for a moment and figured out that there weren't many soldiers in Beijun anyway, so he might as well just hand it over to avoid causing trouble for himself. Thinking of this, Li Rui immediately took out the tiger talisman from his arms and said, General Li, this is the tiger talisman that governs all the soldiers and horses in Beijun. Then Li Rui said to an armored soldier next to him, Captain Wang, take General Li to the barracks to have a look. Yes, sir. Li Feng then followed the soldier to the barracks in Yanqing. After Li Feng left, the officials behind Li Rui gathered around him. Sir, why did you give him the tiger talisman? Yes, sir, what will happen if the prince has military power and causes chaos? Sir, what should we do now? Hearing the officials' discussion, Li Rui said, don't worry, the military power should be in the hands of the prince. It is normal for the prince to take back the military power. And you also heard what Li Feng said just now. The prince has entrusted all the affairs of Beijun to me. If I still control the military power, I am afraid that the prince will be able to tolerate me, and the court will not be able to tolerate me. Hearing what Li Rui said, some officials with quick thinking instantly understood what Li Rui meant. After all, there was a case in the Xia Dynasty where a certain royal palace chief monopolized power and imprisoned the vassal king, but they are still a little worried. Once the northern king has military power, it is equivalent to having weapons in his hands. It will be easy to deal with them, and they will not dare to mess around like before. Li Rui continued, okay, you each return to your respective jurisdictions. If King Bei has any orders, I will inform you as soon as possible. After hearing Li Rui's words, the officials had no choice but to leave the county governor's mansion one after another. A few days later, North Palace, Lu Chen was in the yard, looking at the soap made by his servants according to the soap-making diagram. He picked up a piece and applied it on a piece of dirty clothes to try it. Soon, the stains on the dirty clothes will become clean after being washed. Seeing this scene, everyone in the courtyard made an incredible cry. Yuqin asked curiously, Chinner, where did you find the making method? Is this soap so easy to use? Lu Chen washed his hands and replied with a smile, Aunt Chu, if I say I thought of it myself, would you believe it? Yuqin raised her beautiful eyes and said in a somewhat sinister tone, Chinner has really grown up. There are more and more secrets. She hides everything from her aunt. Mu Zixuan saw that the atmosphere seemed a little bad, so she quickly smoothed things over and said, Aunt Chu, this is indeed the method that the prince came up with. In fact, Yuqin's tone was just a little yin and yang. She was not angry at all. Yuqin had no intention of exploring the secrets in Lu Chen's heart, but having said that, Yuqin felt a little sour inside when she thought about how Lu Chen told her everything before, but hid everything from her after they got married. At this time, Zhou Xiaoxiao changed the subject and said, My lord, how do you plan to sell this soap? Lu Chen made it clear before making the soap that he wanted to sell it, so Zhou Xiaoxiao was curious about how the soap prince planned to price such a soap with such a strong cleaning effect. Lu Chen thought for a moment, and then said, it costs 3 to 10 cents apiece. Zhou Yuyu beside Zhou Xiaoxiao said in surprise, so cheap? Lu Chen said, small profits but quick turnover. It is originally used to replace bath beans. It cannot be too expensive. If it is too expensive, no one will buy it. Having said this, Lu Chen's eyes fell on Mu Zixuan. My beloved, the soap industry will be left to you. Mu Zixuan said with excitement on her face, don't worry, Your Majesty, I will take good care of the soap industry and fill the palace's internal treasury as soon as possible. As soon as Mu Zixuan finished speaking, her expression suddenly turned pale and she started retching. Seeing this scene, Zhou Yuyu and Zhou Xiaoxiao hurriedly came to her side to support her. Sister, what's wrong with you? Quick, call the doctor. Chapter 14 Hunters often appear as prey. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Mu Zixuan retching, Lu Chen basically guessed what was going on. After all, he had received a reminder from the system a few days ago that the soap-making method was also obtained because Mu Zixuan was pregnant. However, even if she knew she was pregnant, she still needed to see a doctor. His rejuvenation hand hadn't started practicing yet, so he couldn't help Mu Zixuan check her body. He could only ask the doctor to check the situation. Mu Zixuan was then transferred back to the room. Mu Zixuan was lying on the bed, looking at Lu Chen beside the bed and said, My lord, I'm fine. Lu Chen stroked Mu Zixuan's cheek, smiled and said, It's better to lie down and wait until the doctor comes to see her. Soon, the doctor came to the room. After briefly checking his pulse, the doctor immediately stood up and bowed and said, Congratulations, Your Majesty, the princess is here. Hearing this, everyone in the room became excited. Zhou Xiaoxiao said next to Mu Zixuan, Sister, it's great, you are pregnant. Our prince has a daughter. Lu Chen also said happily, Xiao, take 2 taels of silver and give it to the doctor. Upon hearing this, the doctor immediately said, Thank you, Your Majesty, for the reward. These days, 2 taels of silver is not a small amount. Doctors don't know how many patients they have to see before they can earn 2 taels of silver. After the doctor left, Lu Chen stroked Mu Zixuan's belly and said with a smile, My dear concubine, it seems that all our hard work for so many days was worth it. Mu Zixuan's face turned red. There were so many people watching here, yet Lu Chen actually said it so directly. Mu Zixuan said at this time, Your Majesty, I will not be able to serve you for a while. Lu Chen said, It doesn't matter, just take good care of the baby. Mu Zixuan asked at this time, My lord, when do you plan to let Xiao Xiao and Yuyu in? Although Zhou Xiaoxiao and Zhou Yuyu are already Lu Chen's women, they haven't held a banquet yet. After all, the prince is taking a concubine, so the banquet must still be held. Lu Chen thought for a while and then said, It will be done in 2 days. Mu Zixuan asked with a smile on her face, Can you leave this matter to me? Lu Chen said, If my concubine is willing, then this matter will be troublesome to my concubine. Seeing the affectionate look between Lu Chen and Mu Zixuan, Yuqin always felt a little uncomfortable. Then she turned around and left the room quietly. She used to accompany Lu Chen, but now that Lu Chen has a princess, it seems that she no longer needs her as an aunt, which makes her feel very disappointed. A few days later, news spread from Beiwang Mansion that Beiwang wanted to take a concubine. After hearing the news, various forces in Bei County began to prepare gifts. By Hualu, a woman in a red robe was sitting at the window, looking at the people coming and going in the distance. The woman's red robe was loose, revealing her white collarbone and white patches. If anyone saw her, she would easily be confused. There is nothing to fault about her beautiful face. Her face has a faint blush and is pretty and charming. The corners of the woman's mouth were slightly curved, her peach blossom eyes seemed to have spring in them, and she looked extremely charming. Her hair was tied high into a bun with a phoenix hairpin, and her long black silk hair was spread over her shoulders. Her exquisite curves made her even more charming. At this moment, a woman with a mask entered the room. She said from behind the curtain, Holy Lady, the pavilion master wants you to complete the task as soon as possible and leave Beijun. Hearing this, the woman couldn't help but sneer. Her voice was very clear, like the call of a bird in the forest. King Bei has been hiding in the mansion, and we can't confirm whether the Grandmaster around him has left. How can it be so easy to complete the task? The woman outside the curtain said, The pavilion master said this is His Highness's wish, and he has nothing to do. If you need help, you can ask it. Wang Qingci said calmly, forget it, you write back and tell him that I will find an opportunity to get close to King Bei as soon as possible and ask him not to press. Wang Qingci was a little upset at this time. She came to Yanqing 2 months ago. In order to get close to King Bei, she specially made herself an oiran. As a result, King Bei never came to Baihua Tower once after arriving in Yanqing. It is said that King Bei is uneducated and lustful. He likes to secretly go to Gulan to listen to music. As a result, King Bei acted like a different person when he arrived in Beijun. He stayed at the mansion and never went there. Wang Qingci also tried to send people to the palace to gather information, but there were many guards in the palace, and Yuqin was personally in charge, so it was difficult for their people to sneak in. They don't know what the situation is in the palace now. At this time, a blue bird flew in front of Wang Qingci from the window. Wang Qingci immediately grabbed the bird and took off the note from its leg. After reading the content on the note, Wang Qingci smiled. It seemed that their information was correct, and King Bei was indeed lustful. Only a few days after arriving in Beijun, he started taking concubines. This was a good thing for her. She had to find a way to go to the palace. If she could attract the attention of King Bei, that would be great. The beauty trap is the best for her, especially when carrying out assassinations. A few days later, the palace of the Northern King. Today is the day when Lu Chen takes concubines. The palace is decorated with lanterns and colorful decorations, and there is an endless stream of people coming to give gifts. Mu Zixuan took care of all the concubinage matters this time. Basically, all the major forces in Beijun received invitations from the palace. Mu Zixuan also planned to use this opportunity to promote the soap, so she invited the major forces in Beijun. While giving gifts, Lu Chen sat in the martial arts arena, listening to the people from the palace reporting on the gifts given by the major forces, while scanning the women attending the wedding banquet with his eyes. In the Great Xia Dynasty, women who had not left the palace generally did not go out to attend other people's wedding banquets. However, today, in order to attract the prince's attention to the women of their family and marry him, many people brought girls from their families who had not left the palace. But after Lu Chen glanced around, he didn't find anything with a score over 90. Lu Chen sighed. Yanqing is indeed too small and too poor. There are so few women with ratings over 90. Just when Lu Chen was about to give up, a woman wearing a purple dress came into Lu Chen's field of vision. Name, Wang Qingci. Identity, 9th grade warrior, the adopted daughter of the Wang family in Jiangnan, the saint of Yanyu Pavilion, and the temporary owner of Baihua Tower. In order to assassinate King Bei, she specially came to attend King Bei's wedding banquet, trying to attract King Bei's attention, and then used a beauty trap to seduce Bei. King. Rating, 95. Favorability, 0. Lu Chen was stunned for a moment when he saw the prompt in front of him. Unexpectedly, a 9th grade assassin sneaked in. Oh, no, others did not sneak in, but came in openly. Lu Chen suddenly felt a little confused when he saw Wang Qingci's enchanting figure, as well as the huge slippery shoulders and white patches. It's really unlucky that a stunning beauty with a 95 rating turns out to be an assassin. It is not easy to find a woman with a score of 95. He must find a way to get this enchanting rose and let her give him a child. Thinking of this, Lu Chen fell into deep thought. It seems that the dragon and phoenix tree has grown, and he will test the effect of making tea from the leaves of the dragon and phoenix tree later. If Longfeng tea is effective, then his and Wang Qingci's identities will change. Thinking of this, the corners of Lu Chen's mouth raised slightly. Sometimes the hunter appears in the form of his prey. Chapter 15 Fooling Yuqin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this time, Wang Qingci also noticed Lu Chen. After all, she came here for Lu Chen. Seeing that King Bei actually smiled at her, Wang Qingci was overjoyed. It seemed that her plan had been half successful. She had indeed attracted King Bei's attention. Then just wait quietly. She believed that King Bei would find her soon, and Wang Qingci was still very confident in her beauty. Then Wang Qingci also smiled slightly at Lu Chen. After the wedding banquet, Lu Chen left directly, while Mu Zixuan chatted with the women who came to the wedding banquet. Lu Chen had already communicated with Zhou Xiaoxiao and the others about their feelings, so Lu Chen was not at all anxious about the wedding. At this time, he came to the main courtyard. which was the courtyard where he planted dragon and phoenix trees. The dragon and phoenix tree had not been planted for half a month, but it had already grown to the height of Lu Chen's waist. However, the dragon and phoenix trees looked no different from ordinary trees. Lu Chen picked a few leaves from the dragon and phoenix tree and planned to make tea for Zhou Xiaoxiao and the two sisters to drink during the bridal chamber. At this time, Yuqin appeared in the yard. Seeing that Lu Chen did not go to receive the guests, nor did he go to find Zhou Xiaoxiao and the others, but came to the yard to look at the trees, Yuqin asked curiously, "Chener, what are you doing? Why didn't you go to Zhou Xiaoxiao? Two sisters at home?" Hearing Yuqin's voice, Lu Chen was stunned for a moment, then he turned to look at Yuqin, and an idea suddenly came to his mind. At this time, Lu Chen asked the system in his mind. "System, after drinking dragon phoenix tea, will women become dependent on me and unable to live without me? Is such that? And after women drink dragon phoenix tea, they will not be able to harm you. When you touch their bodies, they will lose their strength. However, if the woman who drank dragon phoenix tea has a crush on you, then dragon phoenix tea can improve their skills to a certain extent." Lu Chen was a little surprised when he heard the system's words. He thought that Longfeng tea would at most make women dependent on him, but he didn't expect that it would also have the effect of increasing his skill. Yuqin has such a high opinion of herself, so if she drinks dragon phoenix tea, it will definitely increase her skill. Thinking of this, Lu Chen smiled and said, "Don't worry, it's broad daylight. What should I do to find them? Could it be that Aunt Chu wants me to announce that in broad daylight?" Hearing this, Yuqin rolled her eyes at Lu Chen and said, "What are you talking about? I just asked you to talk to the two sisters. After all, you are already married." At this time, Yuqin looked at the leaves of the dragon and phoenix tree in Lu Chen's hand and asked curiously, "What are you doing with the leaves?" Lu Chen did not answer Yuqin's question directly, but looked around and said cautiously, "Aunt Chu, come with me, I have a secret to tell you." Hearing this, Yuqin's eyes lit up and she instantly became interested. Recently, she discovered that Lu Chen had a lot of secrets. Every time she asked Lu Chen was unwilling to tell her because he had grown up. She once thought that Lu Chen had disowned her. "Auntie," since Lu Chen was willing to tell her secrets today, she would definitely want to hear it. She wanted to know what kind of secrets Lu Chen would tell her. At this time, Lu Chen walked towards his room, and Yuqin quickly followed. After Lu Chen entered his room, he put a few leaves in his hand into the teapot on the table. Seeing this scene, Yuqin became even more curious, wondering what Lu Chen was doing. After a while, Lu Chen poured the brewed dragon and phoenix tea into 2 purple clay cups. "Aunt Chu, try the taste of this tea." Hearing this, Yuqin was stunned for a moment, and then she asked speechlessly, "Chener, is this the secret you said?" Lu Chen said mysteriously, "Aunt Chu, if you drink it first, you will understand the secret I am talking about." Having said this, Lu Chen picked up a purple clay cup on the table and drank the dragon and phoenix tea in one gulp. Seeing that Lu Chen had already drank, Yuqin also doubtfully picked up the purple sand cup in front of her, and then took a sip of the dragon and phoenix tea in the cup. As soon as she took a sip, Yuqin felt a coolness rush into her heart. The next moment, Yuqin found that the skill in her body was slowly increasing. Her realm has been stuck at the 9th level for many years. She thought it would be difficult to improve her realm. Unexpectedly, just after taking a sip of tea, the realm in her body began to loosen. Yuqin immediately drank the dragon and phoenix tea in the cup, and then her beautiful eyes stared at Lu Chen closely. "Chener, if I'm not mistaken, the leaves in your hand just now are from the tree in the middle of the yard." Yuqin had long discovered that Lu Chen seemed to be particularly interested in the tree in the middle of the yard. Yuqin had always been curious about why Lu Chen watered the tree himself every day after coming to Beijun. It turns out that the leaves of that tree can actually increase people's power. This is incredible. Lu Chen still did not answer Yuqin's question, but asked, "Aunt Chu, how do you feel now?" Yuqin closed her eyes slightly, and the next moment a stream of air spread out from Yuqin's body. Yuqin opened her eyes and couldn't believe it. She actually broke through to become a half-step master. Although she still has a long way to go before becoming a Grandmaster, this at least gives her hope. At this time, Lu Chen explained, Aunt Chu, the tree in the yard is called the dragon and phoenix tree. Drinking tea made from the leaves of that tree can help warriors improve their skills. Lu Chen only said part of the content. As for the other uses of dragon phoenix tea, Lu Chen had no plans to tell Chu Yuqin yet. Chu Yuqin's temperament was relatively soft, and Lu Chen had no intention of being strong from the beginning. Chu Yuqin was immediately surprised when she heard Lu Chen's words. Although she had already experienced the benefits of dragon phoenix tea, she felt even more incredible after hearing Lu Chen's explanation in person. Even if Lu Chen could take out a weapon that could instantly kill a 9th-level warrior, now he found a plant that could increase his power from nowhere. If someone knew about this kind of thing, I'm afraid the entire martial arts world would be in chaos. I don't know how many master-level experts will come to the palace to snatch that tree. Not only the Grandmaster, but maybe even the Grandmaster would be interested in this tree. Chu Yuqin wasn't going to ask Lu Chen how he got here, and Lu Chen probably wouldn't be able to tell if she asked him anyway. Chu Yuqin sighed at this time and asked worriedly, "Chener, does anyone else know the function of this tree?" Lu Chen shook his head and said, "I only told Aunt Chu about this matter, no one else knows about it." Chu Yuqin reminded, "Don't tell others the purpose of this tree, otherwise the Beiwang mansion will be in disaster, and I won't be able to save the Beiwang mansion." Lu Chen said, "Don't worry, Aunt Chu, I know the pros and cons of this." Chu Yuqin said, "Okay, you go to Xiao Xiao and Yuyu's place first." Lu Chen said and said, "Then I'll go over first." As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Chen turned around and left. For some reason, Chu Yuqin suddenly felt a little uneasy when she saw Lu Chen's tall figure leaving. Chapter 16 The Slave Family thanks the prince for the reward. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Lu Chen left the main courtyard, he was about to go to the courtyard of the 2 sisters of the Zhou family. At this time, he saw Mu Zixuan taking Wang Qingci to the backyard of the palace. Lu Chen was a little curious, why did Mu Zixuan bring this woman here? He frowned, maybe Wang Qingci wanted to get close to him, so he found some excuse to deceive Mu Zixuan. This is not okay. If this woman is here for him, there will be no problem at all, but if Wang Qingci hurt Mu Zixuan in the process, it would be troublesome. Now Mu Zixuan is pregnant again. Thinking of this, Lu Chen quickly followed. When Lu Chen entered the backyard, the maid Xiao was about to make tea. Lu Chen immediately stopped her and said, "Xiao, use this leaf to make tea later." Having said this, Lu Chen handed the leaf in his hand to Xiao. Xiao didn't think much about it, after all, she was just a maid. "Yes, Your Majesty." After handing the dragon and phoenix tree leaves to Xiao, Lu Chen immediately entered the backyard. After seeing Lu Chen, Wang Qingci felt very happy and finally found a chance to get close to King Bei. Of course, she had no intention of attacking Bei Wang now. The main reason why she approached Bei Wang this time was to show off her face in front of Bei Wang, so that he could remember her and deepen his impression of her. She was not sure if the rumored Grandmaster had left Bei Wang. If he took action at this time, it was very likely that she would not be able to leave Bei Wang's mansion. At this time, Wang Qingci immediately stood up from the stone bench, saluted and said, "The daughter of the people comes to see the prince." Mu Zixuan saw Lu Chen running here and asked curiously, "My lord, why didn't you go to your sister's place?" Although Lu Chen had already eaten up Xiao Xiao and Yuyu, today was the wedding banquet day after all, and he still had to go through the process, but Lu Chen came here. Lu Chen smiled and said, "Don't worry, we'll talk about it later in the evening." Having said this, Lu Chen looked at Wang Qingci in front of him. Wang Qingci's whole body exuded a charming fragrance. He was really a foxy girl. Lu Chen then asked, "Who are you?" Wang Qingci immediately introduced himself, "Back to your lord, I am the Oiran of Baihua House." Mu Zixuan added at this time, "Your Majesty, after seeing the effect of soap, Miss Wang plans to order a batch of soap from us." Lu Chen said, "Oh, so that's it. Then you can continue talking and don't worry about me." Having said this, Lu Chen walked to the edge of the pavilion and sat down. At this time, Xiao entered the courtyard carrying the brewed dragon and phoenix tea. Xiao poured each of them a cup of dragon and phoenix tea. At this time, Wang Qingci continued to say to Mu Zixuan, "Princess, our Baihuala has ordered a large quantity of soap. I wonder how long it will take for the palace to make it." Wang Qingci's attention was not on Mu Zixuan at all, but she didn't dare to go too far at this time, so she had to pretend to talk. Mu Zixuan asked, "How many do you need?" Wang Qingci replied, 1,000 yuan. Mu Zixuan was a little surprised. This was the first time the palace had received such a large order. "So much?" Wang Qingci smiled and then explained, "Our girls in Baihualu have a lot of clothes, and they need to be washed every day. In order to clean these clothes, Baihualu needs to go outside the city to buy a lot of bath beans every day." Mu Zixuan thought about it and felt that it made sense. After all, this is a land of fireworks, and the clothes worn by those prostitutes must be clean, so it is normal to consume soap. So, can Baihualu become a big customer of Wangfu in the future? Just when Mu Zixuan was happy about the first big order from the palace, she noticed that Lu Chen's eyes were scanning Wang Qingci's body not far from the pavilion. Mu Zixuan instantly understood why Lu Chen appeared here. It turned out that he was here for Wang Qingci. However, Mu Zixuan didn't think anything of it. It was well known that Lu Chen liked beauty. Wang Qingci is the Oiran of Baihua House. He looks so enchanting, so it's normal for Lu Chen to be tempted. At this time, Wang Qingci picked up the teacup on the table and took a sip of tea. After drinking this, Wang Qingci suddenly felt a refreshing feeling rush into his heart, and Wang Qingci was stunned for a moment. Then he asked, "Princess, where does the tea in your palace come from?" Mu Zixuan was a little confused when she heard this sudden question. She never expected that Wang Qingci would suddenly change the topic to tea. Then Mu Zixuan curiously picked up the teacup on the table and took a sip. Mu Zixuan immediately understood why Wang Qingci suddenly asked about tea. Mu Zixuan turned to look at the maid aside. "Xiao, what kind of tea are you making? Why have I never drank this kind of tea?" Before Xiao could answer, Lu Chen, who was not far away, took the initiative and said, "My dear concubine, do you still remember the tree planted in my main courtyard?" Hearing Lu Chen's words, Mu Zixuan instantly thought of the tree that Lu Chen had carefully taken care of recently. She had always been curious about why Lu Chen was so interested in that tree. It turned out that it was a special tea tree. Mu Zixuan asked at this time, "Your Majesty, is the tea in this teapot made from leaves picked from that tree?" Lu Chen nodded and said, "Yes." Having said this, Lu Chen's eyes fell in front of Wang Qingci and asked with a smile, "Miss Wang, how do you like this tea?" Wang Qingci replied, "It is fragrant, sweet and refreshing. My family has never drunk such magical tea." Lu Chen said, "Since Miss Wang likes it, I will ask my servants to pick some fresh tea leaves and bring them back to you." Wang Qingci thought to herself that it seemed that King Bei planned to use this tea to please her. According to this process, it would not be long before King Bei became her guest, and her mission was almost completed. Thinking of this, Wang Qingci showed a charming smile and said, "I would like to thank you, Your Majesty, for the reward." Lu Chen said to Xiao at this time, "Xiao, go to the tree that I water often and pick 2 tails of fresh tea leaves for Miss Wang to take back." "Yes, Your Majesty." Then Xiao left the backyard and went to the main courtyard to pick tea leaves. Afterwards, Wang Qingci and Mu Zixuan continued to discuss soap matters. After confirming the delivery date, Wang Qingci left the palace with the leaves of the dragon and phoenix tree that Xiao had just picked. Mu Zixuan saw Lu Chen's eyes staring at Wang Qingci's back, so she walked to sit next to Lu Chen and said, "My lord, if you like Miss Wang, I can have someone go to Baihua House to buy her. Come down and let her serve the prince. Miss Wang should still be innocent." Mu Zixuan is relatively open-minded when it comes to women, and she has no intention of being jealous. Hearing this, Lu Chen came back to his senses. He put his big hands around Mu Zixuan's waist, then picked her up with force and let her sit on his lap. Then Lu Chen whispered in Mu Zixuan's ear, "My dear concubine, do you really think she is just an ordinary Oiran?" Lu Chen planned to tell her Wang Qingci's true identity directly. After all, Wang Qingci, a woman, had ulterior motives for him. If she was allowed to have excessive contact with Mu Zixuan, it might be detrimental to Mu Zixuan. It would be better to tell Mu Zixuan her true identity and let Mu Zixuan guard against her. Chapter 17 Grandmaster is no big deal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing Lu Chen's words, Mu Zixuan was slightly stunned. In her eyes, Wang Qingci was indeed just an ordinary courtesan, Lu Chen continued. She is a 9th-grade warrior, a saint from Yanyu Pavilion. Mu Zixuan's brain was stunned. She didn't know what kind of force Yanyu Pavilion was, but a 9th-grade warrior actually went to a place like Baihua Tower to work as an oiran. This was obviously a conspiracy. Mu Zixuan now understood why Wang Qingci suddenly wanted to approach her. It seems that ordering soap is fake, but taking the opportunity to get close to the prince is real, Mu Zixuan said quickly. Your Majesty, I realized that I was wrong. I didn't know her true identity and led the wolf into the house. I am willing to accept the punishment. Lu Chen raised his hand, scratched Mu Zixuan's nose, and said with a smile, those who don't know are not guilty, I don't blame you. Mu Zixuan asked, what does the prince plan to do with her and Baihuala next? Lu Chen did not answer directly, but looked at the teapot on the stone table and said, my dear concubine, did you have any special feelings after drinking the dragon and phoenix tea just now? Mu Zixuan thought for a moment, special feeling. After drinking dragon phoenix tea, I feel very refreshed. Lu Chen continued to ask, what about other than that? For example, is there any restlessness in your body? Speaking of this, Lu Chen put his hand on Mu Zixuan's belly and rubbed it. Mu Zixuan's face instantly turned red. She immediately understood what Lu Chen wanted to ask. I just suddenly thought of the scene when I had a wedding with the prince, and those scenes have been lingering in my mind. Lu Chen said, this is the function of Longfeng tea. The dragon and phoenix tea cultivated with my blood can make women who drink the dragon and phoenix tea fall in love with me. Now Mu Zixuan's favorable impression of him has reached 95, so there is no need to hide the matter of Longfeng tea from her. Hearing Lu Chen's words, Mu Zixuan reacted immediately. She said why she suddenly wanted to be intimate with Lu Chen just now. It turned out to be the influence of Longfeng tea. At this time, Mu Zixuan remembered that when Wang Qingci was leaving just now, Lu Chen gave Wang Qingci 2 tails of dragon and phoenix tea. Mu Zixuan then asked, the prince sent dragon and phoenix tea to Wang Qingci, is he planning to conquer her? Lu Chen replied, Yanyu Pavilion gave me a 9th-grade beauty. How can I not accept it? Mu Zixuan said, I congratulate you, your majesty, for conquering a 9th-grade master. Lu Chen smiled slightly and said nothing more. After hugging Mu Zixuan for a while in the pavilion, Lu Chen felt a little restless, so he went to the north courtyard. At this time, Zhou Xiaoxiao and Zhou Yuyu were waiting quietly in the room. Although they had been Lu Chen's women for a long time, they still looked forward to Lu Chen's visit to them. Unlike marrying a wife, there are not so many procedures for taking a concubine. After the banquet is over, you can get down to business. Lu Chen entered the room and found the 2 sisters sitting on the bed. He took out Longfeng tea and brewed a pot of tea and said to the 2 of them, Xiaoxiao, Yuyu, come here and try the tea I brewed first. Zhou Xiaoxiao and the others didn't understand why Lu Chen wanted them to drink tea at this time, but Lu Chen was the prince, and they just had to be obedient. The 2 sisters came to the table, picked up the teacups on the table, and took a sip of dragon and phoenix tea. After drinking the dragon and phoenix tea, Zhou Xiaoxiao asked in surprise, my lord, what kind of tea is this? It's so sweet. Lu Chen hugged Zhou Xiaoxiao's waist and replied with a smile, this is dragon and phoenix tea. It will help us focus more later. The 2 sisters' faces instantly turned red. However, Lu Chen didn't do anything at this time. He suddenly remembered that he still had a pill that he had not taken. There is a dragon tiger pill in his novice gift bag, and its function is very simple. It mainly improves his combat effectiveness. He didn't take it because he couldn't use it before. He was already a first-level warrior, and his physical strength was several times better than that of ordinary people. He basically had no problem dealing with Mu Zixuan and 3 other weak women. However, I left this elixir alone, so I might as well just use it. The effect is permanent anyway. Thinking of this, Lu Chen took out the dragon tiger pill from the system space and threw it directly into his mouth. The taste of dragon tiger pill is nothing special, just like eating jelly beans. After swallowing the dragon tiger pill, Lu Chen didn't feel anything. Lu Chen was a little confused. Could this pill have expired? After all, this is a gift package for newbies, something from 2 months ago. Just when Lu Chen was thinking this, the fragrance of Zhou Xiaoxiao's 2 sisters wafted into Lu Chen's nose. The next moment, Lu Chen suddenly felt his energy and blood rising, and his body was extremely hot. Lu Chen frowned. Maybe he had underestimated this thing. Next, Lu Chen had to ask two sisters to help solve his negative physical condition. Ding. Once the host and his wife develop a relationship, the qi refining technique experience value will be increased by 10, the host will reach the first level, and the host will reach the fourth level. Ding. If the host develops a relationship with his wife once, the experience value of the rejuvenation hand will be increased by 10. Congratulations to the host for unlocking the rejuvenation hand technique. Congratulations to the host for getting Zhou Xiaoxiao pregnant and getting the recipe for making perfume. The pregnancy reward is an encouragement reward. Please try your best to protect the child from being born safely. The reward for obtaining an heir will be even richer. A series of system prompts made Lu Chen, who had already calmed down, become very excited. At this time, he felt that his body became lighter and his physical strength became more abundant. If the two sisters Zhou Xiaoxiao had not fallen asleep, he would still want to continue to cultivate feelings with them. Lu Chen opened his system panel at this time and checked his current situation. Host, Lu Chen, Realm, 4th level, Skills. Qi Refining Technique, Level 1, Rejuvenation Hand, just unlocked. Supernatural Powers, none. Weapons, Desert Eagle, Barret, Grenade, Heirs, none. Seeing the word first level behind the qi refining technique of the Kung Fu, Lu Chen couldn't help but think that just by breaking through to the first level of the qi refining technique, his realm actually jumped directly from the first level to the fourth level. If the qi refining technique breaks through to the second level, wouldn't he become a master? What if the qi refining technique breaks through to the 10th level? Will he directly become an immortal? Just when Lu Chen was imagining the scene of becoming an immortal in the future, the system prompt sounded, Host, please keep your feet on the ground and don't have excessive fantasies. This world will not allow the birth of immortals. Lu Chen was stunned for a moment when he heard the system beep, but he didn't care too much. It didn't matter even if he couldn't become an immortal, as long as he could still use the qi refining technique. Relying on qi refining techniques to improve your realm is much faster than relying on practicing Kung Fu. Improving the qi refining technique by 1 level can bring him to the 4th level. When he reaches the 2nd level of the qi refining technique, even if he has not reached the level of Grandmaster, he is not far away from it. But having said that, even if you become a Grandmaster, you will only be better than most warriors in this world. When he thought that he could instantly kill a 9th level warrior with the Desert Eagle, Lu Chen suddenly felt that becoming a Grandmaster was no big deal. After all beings are equal before guns and guns. His own strength only enhanced his ability to protect himself, nothing more. Chapter 18 Lu Chen's Attitude Towards Concubines. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xia Dynasty, Beijing, a certain restaurant. At this time, a woman wearing a veil was kneeling behind Lu Shuyun. Lu Shuyun was looking at the attic in the distance with his hands behind his back. After a long while, Lu Shuyun finally said, After so long, you, Yenyu Pavilion, have not made any move. I really don't understand. What is the use of my support for you? Hearing this, the woman behind Lu Shuyun quickly said, Your Highness, the saint has contacted the North King. Once the saint confirms that the mysterious master has left the Bei Prince's mansion, she will take action immediately. I believe that the saint will soon. You can complete the mission. Lu Shuyun said coldly, soon. What I need is a definite time. After hearing this, the woman fell silent and did not continue to speak. Just then, a man entered the room. Your Highness, the Blood Moon building has agreed, but they ask for a price 5 times higher than last time. But they will send the deputy building owner there. Hearing this, the anger in Lu Shuyun's heart calmed down a little. Originally, he had no intention of continuing to look for Shuyue Tower. After all, the last assassination of Shuyue Tower was messed up, and the Yenyu Pavilion he was supporting also had people in North County. At first, he planned to let the people from Yenyu Pavilion take action. However, the recent calls for a neutral prince have become louder and louder, which gave Lu Shuyun a sense of urgency. He needed help from the Chu family as soon as possible. Once he gets the help of the Chu family, he will basically get the support of the Jiangnan family, and the possibility of him being established as the prince will be greatly increased. Lu Shuyun also sent people to contact the Chu family recently, but the Chu family didn't seem to be very interested in him. This made Lu Xuyun always feel that the Chu family had not given up on his useless emperor brother. In his opinion, the mysterious Grandmaster around Lu Chen was sent by the Chu family. The Chu family had already sent a Grandmaster to protect Lu Chen, so how could they give up on him? Therefore, Lu Chen must be eliminated. Lu Xuyun asked at this time, "How strong is the deputy owner of Blood Moon Tower?" Lu Xuyun's subordinate immediately replied, "Back to your highness, it is said that his strength has reached half-step master." Lu Xuyun thought for a while, even if the Grandmaster beside Lu Chen was still there, the deputy building owner of the Blood Moon building should be able to hold him back, and then other people in the Blood Moon building would have the opportunity to take advantage of Lu Chen. Moreover, Yanyu Pavilion also sent many experts to Beijun. Lu Chen only had at most one Grandmaster and Chu Yuqin by his side. As for Li Feng, he is only a 7th-grade man and is not something to be afraid of. Lu Xuyun then said to the man in the room, "Go and tell Zula, 5 times the price is 5 times the price, but I must see the head of King Bei." "Yes, your highness." After the man finished speaking, he left the room, leaving only the veiled woman still in the room. Lu Xuyun said to the woman again at this time, "Write a letter to Wang Qingci immediately and ask her to cooperate with the Blood Moon Tower's assassination operation. If the Blood Moon Tower can lure the Grandmaster of the North Palace away, the Yanyu Pavilion will take action immediately." "Yes." After saying that, the woman also left the room. Lu Xuyun put his hand on the window sill, looking in the direction of the palace, tapping his fingers on the window sill, and murmured, "My good brother, it's almost time for you to go down." The capital, the residence of the eldest prince. Looking at the information in his hand, the eldest prince Lu Yi smiled and said, "Xiao Ba is really cruel and ruthless. Xiao Jiu has already gone to Beijun, and I don't plan to let him go yet." At this time, a retainer wearing grey clothes next to Lu Yi said, "Your Highness, what are you going to do this time?" Lu Yi thought for a moment and said, "I originally thought that by spreading the rumor that Xiao Jiu was protected by a Grandmaster, Xiao Ba would retreat. It seems that this trick is useless. Xiao Jiu cannot die. If he dies, how can I win over the Chu family?" Lu Yi and Lu Xuyun have different parent identities and different positions, so they have different things to do. Lu Xuyun wanted to get rid of Lu Chen because he wanted the Chu family to have no choice, because his mother also came from the Jiangnan family. Without Lu Chen, the Jiangnan family would have no choice but to fully support him. Lu Yi, on the other hand, believed that Lu Chen was the grandson of Chu Xiong, the head of the Chu family. Even if the Chu family had really given up on Lu Chen, Chu Xiong still had personal feelings for Lu Chen. Getting rid of Lu Chen would be tantamount to offending Chu Xiong. Even if the Chu family really had to support Lu Xuyun because of the interests of the Jiangnan family, this incident would still leave a knot in Chu Xiong's heart. What Lu Yi wants to do is very simple. He wants the Chu family to see his goodwill, thereby further dividing the Chu family and other Jiangnan aristocratic families. Therefore, Lu Yi's stance is more inclined to protect Lu Chen. Moreover, in his opinion, Lu Chen was just an ignorant and useless prince. A prince like Lu Chen did not pose any threat to his position as prince. In the future, when he inherits the throne, he can even support Lu Chen to become the new talker of the Jiangnan family. An ignorant and useless prince will be much easier to control than those of the Jiangnan family. At this time, Lu Yi said to a guest next to him, "Mo Dongping, later you will spread the news that the deputy owner of the Blood Moon Tower went to Beijun." The deputy building owner of Blood Moon Building is going to Beijun, which makes Lu Yi have to worry about whether Lu Chen is really going to commit suicide this time. Lu Yi thought in his heart, "Xiaojiu, brother Huang, I can only help you so far. The next step will depend on whether your fate is strong or not." At this time, Lu Chen didn't know what was happening in the capital. For the next period of time, he still stayed in Beiwang Mansion, cultivating feelings with Zhou Yuyu every day. Mu Zixuan and Zhou Xiaoxiao are both pregnant, and now Zhou Yuyu is left alone to serve Lu Chen, which makes Zhou Yuyu miserable. Lu Chen was already a 4th-level warrior, and since he had taken the dragon tiger pill, Zhou Yuyu, a weak woman, was no match for him. North Courtyard, Mu Zixuan and Zhou Xiaoxiao said this while walking towards the yard. According to the perfume drawings provided by Lu Chen, they have already produced some perfumes. There are many flowers planted in the north courtyard, and they planned to use these flowers in the north courtyard to try to make new perfumes, but just as they were about to enter the courtyard, they heard a faint female voice coming from the pavilion in the distance. The voice was sometimes deep, sometimes high-pitched. At this time, the two maids responsible for Zhou Yuyu's food and daily life came to Mu Zixuan and the others with red faces. "I've met the princess." Seeing the two little maids' faces so red, they instantly understood what had happened. At this time, Zhou Xiaoxiao said tentatively, "Sister, now that I am pregnant, only Yuyu is left to serve the prince. And the prince seems to like doing that more and more recently. Yuyu can't handle it alone. Do you want to ask him if he is willing to take a concubine?" That Zhou Xiaoxiao knew that she was just Lu Chen's concubine, so it was not appropriate for her to talk about taking a concubine, so she could only let Mu Zixuan do it. She didn't know if Mu Zixuan was willing or not. After all, Mu Zixuan was the princess and the mistress of the North Palace. Hearing Zhou Xiaoxiao's words, Mu Zixuan sighed, "Sister, I have actually told the prince about concubinage a long time ago. The prince said that his attitude towards concubinage is that he would rather be lacking than indiscriminately, and he would not look at ordinary women." Superior. Chapter 19. It's time to take down Wang Qingci. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mu Zixuan has always been very open-minded about Lu Chen's concubinage. She doesn't care about Lu Chen's concubinage at all, but Lu Chen himself had very high requirements for concubines, and Mu Zixuan had no choice about this. After hearing Mu Zixuan's words, Zhou Xiaoxiao whispered in Mu Zixuan's ear, "Sister, don't we have a woman in the palace who meets the prince's vision?" Hearing this, Mu Zixuan was stunned for a moment, and then she instantly understood that the woman Zhou Xiaoxiao was talking about. Mu Zixuan said calmly, "Xiaoxiao, we can't interfere with Aunt Chu's affairs. It depends on the wishes of the prince and Aunt Chu." Everyone in the palace knew that the relationship between Chu Yuqin and Lu Chen was not simple. It could be seen from the look in Lu Chen's eyes at Chu Yuqin that Lu Chen wanted to eat her up. However, Chu Yuqin's identity is quite special. It is not an easy task for Lu Chen to win over Chu Yuqin. Chu Yuqin was married before. Although the other person died just after she got married and they didn't even have time to get married, she was already considered a member of that family. She could be said to be a widow now. It would be okay if Chu Yuqin married just an ordinary family. After all, Lu Chen was the king of the north and had a certain status. He could force people from the other family to divorce their wives or break off the engagement, but Chu Yuqin married into the Wang family. The Wang family was second only to the Chu family in strength among the Jiangnan aristocratic families, and the Wang family was also the mother family of the 8th Prince Lu Shuyun. Lu Chen wanted to use the identity of the northern king to get the Wang family to divorce Chu Yuqin. Basically unlikely, of course. The biggest obstacle is Chu Yuqin. People in Beiwang Mansion could also see that Chu Yuqin completely regarded Beiwang as a child and his junior. In addition, she has a soft temperament, and it is unlikely that she will accept Lu Chen's love between a man and a woman. After hearing Mu Zixuan's words, Zhou Xiaoxiao curled her lips and did not continue. Mu Zixuan thought of Wang Qingci from Baihualu at this time. If Lu Chen could subdue Wang Qingci as soon as possible, maybe Zhou Yuyu wouldn't have to work so hard, but this is also not something she can interfere with. Thinking of this, Mu Zixuan sighed slightly. After a while, when the sound in the pavilion almost stopped, Mu Zixuan and Zhou Xiaoxiao entered the courtyard. At this time, Zhou Yuyu's clothes were loose and her hair was messy, and she was lying helplessly in Lu Chen's arms. She fell in love with Lu Chen at first sight, so she was very happy when Lu Chen developed a relationship with her, but recently, without his sister and princess to share the firepower, and because Lu Chen had become so fierce for some reason, Zhou Yuyu couldn't bear it. After seeing Mu Zixuan and the others entering the courtyard, Lu Chen guessed that they must have heard the sound just now, but he didn't care at all. The palace is divided into inner and outer courtyards. Currently, several courtyards in the inner courtyard are occupied by female guards, and Mu Zixuan and Zhou Xiaoxiao are his concubines, so if they hear it, they will hear it, and it is no big deal. At this time, Mu Zixuan took the initiative and said, "Your Majesty, we have made the perfume according to the method you provided." After Mu Zixuan finished speaking, the maid beside her walked into the pavilion carrying a wooden box, and then placed the wooden box on the stone table of the pavilion. After hearing this, Lu Chen then picked up Zhou Yuyu in his arms and let her sit on the bench in the pavilion. Zhou Yuyu's maid saw this and hurried over to help Zhou Yuyu. Lu Chen came to the stone table, took out a small porcelain bottle from the wooden box, then opened the cork and smelled it. Affected by the production method, Wang Fu's perfume is very natural, and even if the fragrance is strong, it will not choke your nose, Lu Chen said with satisfaction. My beloved, Xiao Xiao, you have worked hard. Zhou Xiao asked at this time, Your Majesty, how do you plan to sell this perfume? Wang Fu's perfume is much easier to use than ordinary sachets, and the fragrance lasts longer. When needed, just take out the bottle and drop a few drops. Lu Chen thought for a moment, and then said, Perfume is not as necessary as soap, so it should be more expensive, 1 or 2 silver a bottle. Hearing this, Mu Zixuan and Zhou Xiao were stunned. However, they quickly realized that although Lu Chen's price was relatively high, as women, they knew very well that after the perfume was launched, it would definitely attract the attention of countless girls. At this time, Mu Zixuan asked curiously, Your Majesty, where did you get the method for making this perfume? The perfume production drawings given by Lu Chen are very clear. Each step is illustrated, so you can learn it at a glance. When they were making the perfume, they didn't even let the servants do it. Mu Zixuan and Zhou Xiao made the perfume themselves. Hearing Mu Zixuan's question, Lu Chen smiled slightly, and then replied shamelessly, I researched this when I had nothing to do. The girls were very surprised when they heard Lu Chen's answer. The outside world said that King Bei was ignorant and incompetent, but he was able to develop these 2 practical items. At this moment, Mu Zixuan suddenly thought of something, so she continued, Your Majesty, I plan to invite Miss Wang from Baihualu to come to the mansion and discuss with her about letting the girls from Baihualu try out the perfume in advance. What do you think? Mu Zixuan thought that it was not a problem for Lu Chen to always focus on Zhou Yuyu. Since Lu Chen had already set his sights on Wang Qingci, she would give Wang Qingci more opportunities to appear in front of Lu Chen. Moreover, letting the Oiran from Baihualu try the perfume can quickly build the reputation of the perfume. With perfume, men who go to Baihualu in the future will definitely be covered in fragrance when they return home, and the fragrance will not dissipate for a long time. At that time, the female family members of those men might try to find out how they got their scent. When Lu Chen heard Mu Zixuan mention Wang Qingci, that enchanting figure instantly appeared in his mind. For a moment, Lu Chen felt that the blood and energy in his body were surging. After taking Longhu pill, it became more and more difficult for him to control himself. If he didn't cultivate his relationship with Zhou Yuyu every day, he couldn't sleep at night. Lu Chen was speechless. It wouldn't be a problem if things continued like this. Both Mu Zixuan and Zhou Xiao were pregnant recently. According to his current ability, Zhou Yuyu might be pregnant soon. What would he do if they were both pregnant? If I had known it earlier, I would not have taken the Dragon Tiger pill. This Dragon Tiger pill is really harmful to people. At this time, the system prompt sounds, Host, please rest assured that the host cannot control the medicinal properties of Dragon Tiger pill now because the host's realm is not high enough. After the host breaks through to the 9th level warrior, he will be able to easily suppress his desires. The corners of Lu Chen's mouth twitched. 9th grade. His cultivation method is to cultivate relationships with his wives and concubines, but I'm afraid Zhou Yuyu got pregnant before he reached the 9th rank. There are so few women with a score of 90 in Yanchen, a ghost place like this. When will he be able to break through to the 9th level? It seems that it is time to capture Wang Qingci. Wang Qingci is a 9th grade warrior, and her physical strength is not comparable to that of ordinary weak women. After capturing her, his qi refining technique should be able to break through to the 2nd level soon. Chapter 20 I want to talk to you alone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Chen was a little helpless when it came to having children and improving his cultivation. His cultivation method was to cultivate relationships with his wives and concubines, but the system told him that he would only be able to obtain more generous rewards if he gave birth to children. But if his wives and concubines are pregnant, who will he turn to cultivate relationships? A woman with a score of 90 is not a piece of cabbage, and she cannot be found just by looking for it. How can his cultivation improve if no one cultivates feelings? Thinking of this, Lu Chen became more determined to capture Wang Qingci. The higher the level of the warrior, the less likely it is to become pregnant. From now on, she will be used for training. Then Lu Chen said to Mu Zixuan, "My dear concubine, you must inform Aunt Chu and I before you invite Miss Wang here. Wang Qingci is a 9th-level warrior, so he still needs to be on guard." Mu Zixuan said, "I understand." At this time, Lu Chen glanced at Zhou Yuyu who was still resting on the bench in the pavilion, and said with a smile, "Yuyo, have a good rest. I will come back to you in the evening." Hearing this, Zhou Yuyu was stunned. "Are you coming again tonight?" Woohoo, save the child. A few days later, by Hualu, Wang Qingci was half lying on the beauty's couch. Her clothes were loose. At this time, she murmured, "It is a pity that such a handsome man should be killed like this." Ever since Wang Qingci returned from the palace, she could not help but think of Lu Chen in her mind. She didn't realize that she was influenced by Long Feng tea. After all, Lu Chen was indeed handsome. Seeing the note in his hand, Wang Qingci felt a little regretful. Soon, the deputy owner of the Blood Moon Tower will come to Beijun. At that time, regardless of whether the Grandmaster of the North Prince's palace is still there or not, Yanyu Pavilion must assassinate the North Prince. When he thought of that handsome figure, Wang Qingci felt a little reluctant. At this time, the corner of Wang Qingci's mouth raised slightly, and then she said to herself, "Little prince, don't blame your sister for being cruel. If you do, blame yourself for being born into the royal family." At this moment, a maid entered the room and said from behind the curtain, "Master, the Northern Palace has sent someone to invite you over. They say they have something important to discuss." Hearing this, Wang Qingci asked, "Is it King Bei who is looking for me?" The maid replied, "It seems that it is not King Bei who is looking for you, but the princess." Wang Qingci wondered what Mu Zixuan wanted to do with him. Could it be because of the soap thing? But having said that, whether Mu Zixuan is looking for her or King Bei is looking for her, she will definitely go. Since there was a legitimate reason to enter the Beiwang mansion, why didn't she go? She could take the opportunity to find out if the mysterious master was still in Beiwang mansion, and seduce Beiwang. By the way, thinking of King Bei's handsome face, Wang Qingci felt a little restless. Wang Qingci then got up from the beauty's bed, then straightened out her loose clothes. "I'll go right away." As they approached, Wang Qingci headed to the North Palace. When the servants of the North Palace took Wang Qingci into the backyard, Chu Yuqin was patrolling and happened to see Wang Qingci. She frowned immediately, and then said, "Wait a minute." Wang Qingci's heart tightened when he heard Chu Yuqin's voice. Chu Yuqin is a 9th-grade warrior, and it is easy to detect that she is also a warrior. If she reveals her identity as a warrior, Chu Yuqin may become suspicious. In order not to be exposed, Wang Qingci immediately stopped. Chu Yuqin came to Wang Qingci at this time and asked, "Who are you? Why have I never seen you before?" Wang Qingci immediately saluted and replied, "Mrs. Chu, I am the Oiran of Baihua House. This time I came to the palace at the invitation of the princess." Chu Yuqin looked at Wang Qingci carefully. She couldn't help but think that this woman was very charming. Could it be that Zixuan planned to let this woman serve Chener? Of course, Chu Yuqin knew what happened in the inner courtyard recently. Zhou Yuyu had difficulty walking these days. If she didn't let Lu Chen take a concubine, Zhou Yuyu might not be able to bear it anymore, but Chu Yuqin looked at Wang Qingci with some suspicion. She always felt that this woman was not simple. She seemed to have felt the inner strength of this woman just now, but now it seems that this woman is no different from ordinary people. After thinking for a while, Chu Yuqin finally said, "Okay, you go in." Immediately afterwards, the servants of the palace continued to take Wang Qing to leave the north courtyard. After entering the north courtyard, Wang Qingci's eyes fell on Lu Chen inside the pavilion. She didn't know why, but she couldn't help but want to look at Lu Chen now. Wang Qingci walked into the pavilion and immediately squatted down to salute and said, "The daughter of the people has met the prince and the princess." Lu Chen smiled and said, "Get up." "Thank you, your majesty." Then Wang Qingci looked at Lu Chen and asked, "I wonder what the prince is asking me to come to the palace for?" Lu Chen replied, "I am not looking for you, it is my beloved concubine who is looking for you. You guys can talk about things. I'm just sitting here and won't disturb you." Mu Zixuan immediately took out some small porcelain bottles from the wooden box on the stone table. "Miss Wang, come here." Seeing the small porcelain bottle on the stone table, Wang Qingci came to the stone table curiously. At this time, Mu Zixuan opened a porcelain vase, and a burst of floral fragrance instantly poured into Wang Qingci's nose. Mu Zixuan immediately said, "Miss Wang, this is a perfume made by our palace. The fragrance lasts for a very long time. We plan to let the girls from Baihuala try it for a period of time and help our palace to promote it." After hearing this, Wang Qingci realized that it turned out that she was looking for something serious. She thought it was King Bei who was looking for her to have a romantic relationship. Wang Qingci then took the porcelain bottle from Mu Zixuan's hand and smelled it closely. The floral fragrance was very strong, but not pungent. It was a very natural fragrance. Wang Qingci then asked, "Princess, may I ask, how long will the fragrance of this perfume last?" Mu Zixuan replied, "The smell of one drop of perfume can last for about 3 hours. And this perfume is different from the sachet. You can take out a drop of this perfume and put it on yourself at any time to keep the fragrance on your body all day long. And just one bottle can be used for a long time." Wang Qingci's eyes lit up when she heard this. Although she came here for King Bei, this perfume attracted her even more. "I didn't expect Beiwang Mansion to have such a good thing." Wang Qingci then looked at the other porcelain bottles in the wooden box. "Princess, can I smell the fragrance of the other porcelain bottles?" "Of course. The perfumes in this wooden box are all the ones I plan to give to you at Baihuala to try." Wang Qingci immediately said, "Thank you, Princess, for the reward." After finishing his words, Wang Qingci opened other porcelain bottles and smelled them. Each scent was different, but these scents were relatively natural, making people want to smell them. At this time, Lu Chen used the system to identify Wang Qingci's personal information. Name, Wang Qingci. Identity, 9th grade warrior, the adopted daughter of the Jiangnan Wang family, the saint of Yanyu Pavilion, and the temporary owner of Baihua Tower. She rushed over immediately after hearing that Beiwang Mansion was looking for her. Recently, the figure of Beiwang always appears in her mind. She felt very pity in her heart when she thought that the deputy landlord of Blood Moon Tower would come to assassinate King Bei soon. Rating, 95. Favorability, 60, continuously affected by Long Feng Tea. Lu Chen was stunned for a moment. He did not expect that Zula would dare to come to trouble him, but now was not the time to think about this. Seeing that Wang Qingci had a favorable impression of 60, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. It was time to reap the rewards. Thinking of this, Lu Chen said to Wang Qingci, who was trying out the perfume, "Miss Wang, I heard that your Baihua building is the busiest place in the entire North County." Wang Qingci immediately said, "Your Majesty, Baihua Tower may not be the busiest place in the entire North County, but it must be the busiest place in Yancheng." Lu Chen continued, "Your Baihua building is so lively, so you must know a lot of things that others don't know. I want to talk to you alone later and find out something about what happened in Beijun. Are you willing?"